Hello friends, welcome to my channel Coding Concepts. Today we will be learning about array, which is part of the data structures, and this is the simplest data structure, and we'll look into this. Before that, just subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on bell icon so that you can get all the notifications. So we'll now move into what is array and we'll take this into detail. Okay. So we'll look what is array here. Okay. Now, there are various concepts we'll take into this particular video. First of all, we'll understand this thing using some example. So let's say there is one parking slot, okay, car parking slot where you have different slots here. So, okay, these are for the cars, okay, and there may be another area also here. So these are the different car slots, okay, and each of them are given some numbers. So total there are 12 slots in car parking. Okay. Now, when you want to design the system, you know number of slots which are there. So there are 12 slots available. Now, when you want to do the programming, what you will do is you will create 12 variables for this. This is the concept without ARM telling you. Okay. So what you will do is slot one, slot two, and you will give them some type. Let's say we are giving some integer type. Okay. Slot 3 and so on and so forth till slot 12. Okay, so this is how you define without array. Now let's say you want this particular slot. Okay, this particular slot has a car been acquired here. Okay, there is a car and there is car here also. Okay, now what you will do is you will store the values here, the car number in each of these slots. Okay, now uh, here you will store some value. Let's say for slot 4, okay, the car number is 1234. For slot 1, the car number is 7689. Okay, now by doing this, what you will do is you will you will have to fetch values for total 12 slots, and so there will be total 12 the code line you have to write 12 lines of code for taking each of these inputs. So slot 1 is equal to scanner is a variable here, sc dot next int. Okay, same for slot 2 is equal to sc dot next int. So sc is the scanner variable. Okay, but here if you see, the problem is you have to write this thing again and again, so this code gets repeated. Okay, you see here this particular line gets repeated, and every time you have to write separate sysout statement. Sysout means system.out.println. So your program gets too lengthy and it's difficult to maintain the same thing. Let's say tomorrow if the same parking slot has added some additional different slot. Let's say here 13, 14, 15 and 6. So what about that? You will have to again write the same thing. So to solve this issue, we can make use of array. Okay. So what is array here? Array means when you want to store same type of values. So here if you see values are written, what this means? Multiple value of same type. Okay. So here if you see, we have 12 slots which are of type integer. So type is same. So what you can do is you can define an array. So when you define an array, what happens in internal memory? This is how it is created. Okay, so slot variable gets started from here, and there will be, let's say we have 12 slots, okay, in parking. So there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so our index in array starts from 0. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So total we have here 12 slots. Okay. Now, because if you see here, all elements are stored in continuous format. But if you define the same thing here, let's say you create in this way, so what will happen? Your memory will be creating something like the slot 1 is somewhere else, slot 2 is somewhere else. So there is no sequence here. See, there is no sequence. But here in array, each of these slots are stored in a continuous format. So let's say here your memory is 100. Okay, this particular point. Now because it is an integer type, it takes 4 bytes. So the another one will be 104, 108, 112, and so forth. Okay. Now this is about functionality or the overview which I told you. But how about implementation? So the same I can implement in this way. This defines it an array with data type. I created a variable slot new. Now here will come the size. So we have 12. So we'll directly write as 12. Okay. So this slot variable will store total 12 values of type integer. So we are using only one variable. Okay. Now we are not creating 12 variables, but we are using one variable, and each of these values can be used using indexed. Okay. So let's say I have this particular 12 slots. Okay, and I want to access this particular element. Okay, I want to store a value here. So what I will do is slot equal something value. Let's say I want to store a value called 1234 car number. Okay, now our index starts from 0. So here 4 means you are storing a value for slot 5. Okay, but if you see here, the variable remains the same. Let's say I want to store for this thing. I want to store a value called 7689 here. So how would I do it? It's the first slot. Okay. The first slot here I will store 1 minus 1 is 0 here because index starts from 0, and if you want to store a value in slot number 8, so how it will write? We'll write it as 8 minus 1, that is from 7. Okay. So this is how simple it is when you work with array. Okay. Now here if you see, earlier we declared here a slot variable and we defined here size 12. But you want to take an input from a user. So what you will do is, let's say I'm declaring a variable integer no, and I will take a scanner variable and I will take an input from user. Okay. Now I can do the same thing here. In the bracket I can type, I will enter variable no. Okay. So this is how simple it is. Here no, whatever value you store here, let's say user enters 5, so the size would be of 5. If user enters 12, so it will be 12. If the user enters 47, so size would be 47 here. Okay, so in this way you can define slots of size 47, 5, or whichever value which user enters. Now we want to read something. Okay, we want to read from the user. If for each slots we want to read a value. So I know this size because it's no. Okay. Now what I will do is slot, because our index starts from 0. So that's why I taken a variable of integer I will start the value from 0. So directly I will write it 0. See how easy it is. One line of code is enough to store the values for n number of size. Okay, if it is 5, you can loop it for 5 times. This statement will be repeated 5 times internally, and same for any number of value. But when you write the code, it reduces the amount of efforts and time. Now the same thing will happen. Let's say if you want to print here. Okay, let's say you want to print this particular variable. You have taken the input, now you want to print it. So how will you do it? System.out.println, in bracket what you will write. So this is how simple it is. But if you see in this scenario, the one which normally we try here, Here you would have to write this 12 times, or it may be n times, and the code would be too lengthy and difficult to read, because let's say if you have parking lot with let's say 100 slots. Okay, so you will have to write 100 times that system out in println or sc.next, whatever it may be. But with array, doesn't matter, you just have to change this value only. This is how simple it is. Now this is for 1D array, which I told you. Okay, now we'll take another example. Let's say you have a coaching class, okay, tuition class, and there are 50 students. Okay, and you're teaching, giving tuitions to for 5 subjects. Okay, so if you see, if you want to store the same thing without array, what you will have to do, we'll create a class called student. Okay, and here you will subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, and till subject 5. Okay, and for this also, if you are not working with array, for that I'm telling you, what you will do is you will create an object for 50 student till. Okay, but if you see, the number of lines have increased. Let's say tomorrow the number of students have increased from 50 to 100, so we'll have to repeat the same thing here till 100. Let's say your number of subjects here increased till 2 more subjects, so you will have to increase for 6 and 7 also. Okay, so if you see here, now also without array, your code becomes too complex, the efforts increases, the time increases. The same can be solved in this way. I will create a class called student. Okay, then here I know number of subjects I am teaching, it is 5. And here in the void main, what I will do is I will create an array of size 50, because my number of students in the coaching class are 50. I can take an input from user also. Okay, and I can pass this thing to in bracket also. Okay, and then I can easily iterate the same thing to store the values of 5 subjects. So how will I do it? Let's say I am aware of the number of count of students. Okay, let's say NO. So NO is 50 students. Okay, now student of I. Okay, dot store marks. Okay, this will store marks for 5 subjects. Okay, so I will have I will have a function called store marks in my class student, and how it will be. And here, because I know the number of subjects in advance, so because there's 5. Okay, and here I subject. Okay, so this is part of class. The okay, here this method is part of this class. Okay, that's why I return dot store marks. Okay, so this is how easy it is. The number of lines have reduced in the store mark subjects, and same in while calling the same for 50 students. Now, how it will be saved in the memory? We saw that 1D array is stored in this row format. Okay, but when it comes to 2D format, so how it is stored? It is stored in the format of rows and columns. Okay, this is how it is stored. Okay, this is how it is stored. So if there are 50 students, there will be 50 rows here. Okay, so here there will be 50 rows, and same there will be 5 columns. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these are not needed. Okay, this is just for explanation purpose. So we have this 5 and there are so here index will start from 0. The rows index 0, 1, 2, 3 till 50, and because it is we have 5 subjects, so we have indexed 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so how this will be represented? 0 row, 0 column, 0 row first column, 0 row second column, 0 row third column, 0 row fourth column. Okay, this is how it will be represented. So this will be for student, for first student, because index is from 0, will start with 0 only, but it will internally represent for first student. Okay, same here, it will go till 14. Sorry. Now for the second student, how it will be? First row first column, there is first student, first subject, first student second subject, first student third subject, and so on and so forth. Same it will be repeated for others too here. Okay, and for printing 2D array, we make use of two loops because it was typically an example where we made use of class. But let's say you have directly created some loop call here. Okay, this is how you can declare a 2D array. So I'm not considering the class concept here. Okay, so let's say we have array, we are storing values for 50 students, and we have to store marks for 5 subjects. So this row means here 50. So here I can directly write 50. Here it will be column. So this is a column. So it is 5. Okay. And here I can take an input of this is the row. So for 0th student is first student, and will repeat for 5 loops for one student and same 50 times. Okay. So here it would be 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3 and 0 4. So for 5 times it will be repeated because internally first it will complete this loop. Okay, now when it will come to here, your I will get incremented. So now what will you do? It will start from first here. J will be again initialized to 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 and 1. And so it will be repeated for 50 times. So this is how you will print or take an input from the user for 2D array. And if you see in the entire video, you see there is one thing is common, which is size is defined in advance. So this is the biggest limitation. We'll cover the benefits also. This is the biggest limitation because you should know the number of elements that can be stored in an array. So let's say on Facebook you have posted, you submitted one post, okay, and there can be n number of comments. You are not sure that for this post how many comments you will get. In that scenario, you cannot make use of array because you don't know the size. Okay, but let's say I give you an example. Let's say you want to create a school management system, okay, or you want to create a hotel management system. So in hotel, you know number of rooms, okay, so that are fixed, and in school you know number of students, okay, that are also fixed. Okay, so in that scenario you can make use of an array. So it depends on the kind of requirement you are having, when you want to use array or not. Now we will cover benefits. The benefits are easy to traverse. Okay, easy to traverse mean in just recently we saw that using for loop you can easily read you can easily write the values. So traversing is very easily, you can do make use of for each loop also. So if you want to make for each loop, you can directly reuse this thing, and here you can directly print out. So system out dot println, I'm writing in short. Okay, but this will only work when you want to just print it. But for inputting something from you cannot use, because you need to know the size where you are placing an input. Okay, now this is easy to traverse. Another thing is same name, so you don't have to refer. Let's say you want to store values for 1,000 values, so you don't have to refer, remember this 1,000 values. You just have to refer by variable and the index. So this is how simple it is. Another thing is it is stored in continuous format, continuous in memory. Okay, so this is how it is stored in continuous form. So here if it is the address is 100, and if your type of an array is integer, so another one will be 104, 108, because each will take 4 bytes. Okay, now if you store the same for character array, so here it will be 101, 102, because it will be 1 byte. Okay, so this is how easy it is when you work with array, but you should know the size in advance. Okay, so this was some overview which I gave regarding the array. So in coming lectures, I will also take you through the functions or through the different programs which we can work on this array. Okay, so it will be easy programs also, medium and higher level programs. So you'll be able to get more understanding of where array can be used. So meanwhile, I also provide the link regarding the introduction of data structure in the description. So if you haven't checked that thing, so just check the same video, which are the different data structure are available in Java. And if you like this video, just share it, comment it, okay, and like the video too. And thank you.